The night before the wedding, my fiancé drugged me with sleeping pills and let his childhood sweetheart shave off my long hair. The monster in the mirror stared dead at me. That was originally the masterpiece of San Francisco's most expensive private styling studio. The silky flaxen long hair I had spent 3 whole years meticulously maintaining, but now it was completely gone. Replacing it was a bumpy, ghastly buzz cut, with pale scalp showing in some places, marked with blood, looking like it had been gnawed by a wild beast. And that beast holding the hair shears was covering her mouth, letting out a delicate, affected gasp. "Oh my God, Chloe, I swear I just wanted to help trim your bangs, but my hand slipped. You know I have anxiety." My hands wouldn't stop shaking just then, and it just ended up. Sienna was wearing my silk robe, standing in mine and Liam's master bathroom. Those big eyes that were always so watery were now brimming with tears, as if she were the victim. I felt like the effects of the Ambien in the red wine from last night hadn't completely worn off. My head felt heavy as lead, but I could still clearly perceive the excitement and malice shimmering in her eyes when she made that cut. That was the look of a predator toying with its prey. "Don't be like that, Sienna. Take a deep breath." Liam, my fiancé, the man who was set to marry me tomorrow at a winery in Napa Valley, was currently gently holding Sienna's trembling shoulders, not even bothering to look at my devastated reflection in the mirror. "Chloe, stop standing there with a face like a corpse scaring Sienna. She meant well and just wanted to make your wedding styling a little more perfect." Meant well, shaving the bride on the eve of her wedding until she looks like a patient undergoing chemotherapy. That's called meaning well. I turned around, watching this man and woman acting out a scene of deep devotion right in front of me. Not only was there no guilt in Liam's eyes, but there was even a trace of impatience. "I didn't expect it to turn out like this either." Liam shrugged, casually grabbing a towel to try and cover my head, as if covering up a piece of humiliating trash. "But you never know with fashion. Aren't buzz cuts popular with supermodels these days? It's edgy, avant-garde. Since the hair is already gone, stop making such a fuss. Just wear a wig tomorrow. Once the veil is on, no one will see it anyway." "A wig," I finally spoke, my voice as hoarse as if I had swallowed gravel. "Yeah, sister-in-law." Sienna poked her head out from Liam's embrace. That sister-in-law sounded exceptionally ironic. "I have a long pink curly wig for cosplay. Although the quality is just okay. It'll do for an emergency. As long as you don't blame me, I'm willing to do anything." "See, Sienna is so big heart." Liam pinched the tip of her nose approvingly, but when he turned to look at me, his gaze instantly went cold. "And don't you always act like a victim. You got drunk yourself last night and said your head felt heavy, so Sienna only thought to help you trim it a bit to lighten the load. Don't make things awkward. There are hundreds of guests waiting tomorrow." Big heart, lighten the load. My stomach churned violently. That glass of red wine last night was handed to me by Liam personally. He said I was too tired from wedding prep lately and needed something to help me sleep. I drank it without a second thought, then passed out like a dead pig. Thinking about it now, that wasn't a sleep aid, it was clearly an anesthetic to put me on the chopping block. The air around us seemed to freeze. I looked at that handsome face of Liam's that I once loved so deeply, and suddenly realized I had never truly known him. He's a Silicon Valley VC upstart, used to controlling everything, used to everyone revolving around him, and even more used to holding Sienna, his so-called childhood sweetheart, in the palm of his hand. And I am nothing but a perfect accessory on his life's resume, a Stanford-graduated marine biologist, respectable, docile, and presentable. But he forgot. People who study marine life are the best at staying calm in the abyss. I didn't scream, smash things, or cry my eyes out like they expected. That would only give them more reason to accuse me of being emotionally unstable, or even, just as Liam had threatened before, send me to a mental institution. I took a deep breath, and the corners of my mouth slowly curled up into a perfectly standard, diplomatic smile. "You're right, Liam." I walked over to the sink and unhurriedly took off the $50,000 Harry Winston diamond ring from my left ring finger. That was a shackle I had never taken off in public, just to match his status, since Sienna wants to be part of this wedding so badly, even going so far as to personally give the bride a makeover. I held up the ring shimmering with a cold light, waved it under the light, and then flipped my wrist. A crisp clink rang out. The ring landed precisely in the unfinished glass of champagne Sienna had left by the sink, stirring up a small circle of golden foam. "This spot is yours." Sienna's fake sobbing instantly got stuck in her throat as she stared wide-eyed at that expensive drink. Liam froze in absolute disbelief, as if meeting me for the first time. "Chloe, have you lost your mind?" Liam's face instantly darkened, a precursor to his rage. Do you know how much this ring costs? You just threw it away like that. Sienna's hand just slipped. Did you have to be so aggressive? You look just like an unreasonable shrew right now. A shrew, I scoffed, grabbing the car keys from the counter and casually pulling a bath towel over my head. Save it, Liam. Compared to the disgusting pair you two make in this room, I feel perfectly clear-headed right now, since it's all the same once the veil is on. What difference does it make who the bride is? It works out perfectly, since you've already done the intimate stuff. You might as well act out the wedding charade to your heart's content. With that, ignoring Liam's furious roar and Sienna's panicked excuses behind me, I strode out of the suffocating mansion. The San Francisco night wind, wrapped in the damp chill of the Pacific, drilled straight down my collar, stinging my exposed scalp, but I felt an unprecedented exhilaration. That pain made me incredibly lucid. I was free, sitting in my Volvo. I didn't start the car immediately. Instead, with trembling hands, I fished a spare phone out from the depths of the storage compartment. Liam is a control freak. My main phone has his tracking software on it, maybe even spyware, but this one, he doesn't know about. I dialed that number I had long since memorized by heart. Professor. The moment the call connected, I struggled to keep my voice steady, not letting myself sound like a lunatic who had just been through a nightmare. This is Chloe. That vacancy at the Noah McMurdo station in Antarctica you mentioned before, is it still available? That was the opportunity one reluctantly turned down 3 months ago to plan the wedding. Going to Antarctica, that is the ultimate dream of every marine biologist, requiring 2 years of isolated work on the ice sheets. At the time, Liam said, if you go to that godforsaken place, who's going to look after my daily needs? Who's going to accompany me to dinner parties? Chloe, don't be so selfish. Now, I just want to give my past self a hard slap across the face. On the other end of the line, the advisor's voice was full of pleasant surprise and urgency. Chloe, God. The person we picked yesterday got cut because of the physical exam. The ship leaves in half a month, and we're running around like crazy. If you're willing, you'd be saving the whole team's life. But your wedding, there won't be a wedding. I looked at the bald woman in the rearview mirror, a cold fire igniting in my eyes. I will report for duty on time, but I have a condition. My induction procedures must be kept absolutely confidential, until the moment I board the ship. Of course, if you insist. Hanging up the phone, I finally started the car. Half a month. I still have half a month to deal with this absolute mess. This isn't just an escape, it's a calculated reckoning. Did Liam and Sienna think that by ruining my hair they could ruin my life? Did they think I'd hide in a corner, crying and feeling sorry for myself? Dream on. I didn't return to that so-called marital home, but went straight to a small apartment in Berkeley where my lease hadn't expired yet. That was my secret base, and my final sanctuary. Facing the mirror, I took the clippers and completely shaved off that jagged mess of hair, turning it into a sharp buzz cut. Looking at the face in the mirror, no longer hidden by long hair, making my features look more defined and my gaze even sharper, I curled my lip into a smirk. Bad hair day. I laughed self-deprecatingly. No, it's a new day. Early the next morning, my phone was blowing up. Hundreds of missed calls, all from Liam and Sienna, as well as some clueless friends and relatives. I put it straight on silent, opened my computer, and got to work. First, cancel all the wedding reservations, the Napa Valley venue, the Michelin chef, and those goddamn hundreds of white roses. Cancel them all, even though I won't get the deposit back. Just thinking about Liam facing an empty lawn and angry guests makes it worth it. I'll just treat that money as the price of a circus ticket. Secondly, and this is the most important step, the evidence. Liam thought I didn't know that to monitor the nanny and security at home, he installed a cloud camera in a hidden corner of the master bedroom. But regarding that camera's secondary account, I was one step ahead and bound it to this spare computer half a year ago when he asked me to help set up the router. With trembling fingers, I clicked on the playback of last night's recording. On the screen, I was passed out on the chair. Sienna was holding a pair of scissors, wearing that kind of spine-chilling, excited smile. Liam, look, if I cut this piece off, wouldn't she look just like that mangy dog? Sienna giggled coquettishly while cutting, turning back to Liam, who was sitting on the bed playing on his phone. Liam didn't even look up. Suit yourself, just don't get hair clippings everywhere. It's a hassle to clean up. Oh my, oops, Sienna exclaimed exaggeratedly as the scissors scraped across my scalp. Now it's really bald. Do you think she'll go crazy when she wakes up? It's perfect that she's crazy. Liam's cold voice came out of the speakers, like a sharp knife piercing my heart. She's been getting less and less obedient lately, so this is the perfect chance to take her down a peg. Later I'll just sweet talk her. Say I don't mind that she's ugly, And she'll be even more devoted to me. I knew brother Liam loved me the most. Sienna dropped the scissors, climbed onto the bed like a cat in heat, and straddled Liam's lap. Then as a reward, I don't need to watch the rest of the scenes anymore. I turn off the video, click save, back it up, and back it up again. This isn't just evidence of their cheating. Under California law, forcibly cutting off my hair while I was unconscious is enough to constitute battery and personal injury. Liam, don't you love controlling everything? This time, I'm going to make you watch the kingdom you built yourself collapse brick by brick. Just as I finished backing up the files, the doorbell suddenly started ringing urgently. I looked through the peephole light. Was actually Liam. He actually managed to find this place. Looks like I underestimated the extent of his infiltration into my life. I took a deep breath, put on a baseball cap, and opened the door. What exactly are you making a fuss about? Liam pushed the door open and burst in, carrying an exquisite cake box in his hand, wearing that habitual, hypocritical expression of he's a mixture of reproach and doting. I waited for you at home all day, and you wouldn't answer the phone. What's the deal with the news about the wedding cancellation? Do you know how long I spent explaining things to the winery? I only managed to pacify them for now by claiming it was a system glitch. He looked at my bald head and baseball cap, his frown deepening. Also, what are you doing hiding in this dump? Come home with me. Sienna cried all night out of guilt. Her eyes are all swollen. She specially made this cake with her own hands to apologize to you, so stop being so ungrateful. As he spoke, he slammed that cake box tied with a pink ribbon onto the table, as if it were some kind of royal gift. I glanced at the box. It was the packaging of some viral dessert shop in San Francisco, definitely not made by Sienna, but what I cared about more was that cloyingly sweet smell wafting through the air. What flavor is it? I leaned against the doorframe, arms crossed, and asked coldly. Peanut butter chocolate, Liam said matter-of-factly. Sienna's favorite flavor. She said good things should be shared with her sister-in-law. Hurry up and eat, then come back with me. I've already had someone send the wig home. Peanut butter. My fingers instantly dug into my palms. We've been together for 5 years. In those 5 years, I've told him countless times that I have a severe peanut allergy. Even the slightest bit could cause my throat to swell up and lead to death by suffocation. I keep an EpiPen in my bag year-round, just to prevent accidents. And now, carrying the poison his little mistress had handmade poison enough to kill Mayhay stood here accusing me of being ungrateful. Liam, I looked up, the last bit of warmth in my eyes completely extinguished. Do you remember what I told you on our first date? Liam impatiently loosened his tie. Who remembers that ancient history? Chloe, you're really being unreasonable right now. Is it because you lost your hair that you've become so sensitive and paranoid? I said, that was just an accident. Sienna didn't mean it. Didn't mean it. I walked over and picked up that exquisite cake box. What are you doing? Since it's a kind gesture from Sienna, I walked to the trash can, and right in front of him, smashed the cake, box and all, hard into it. Then let trash go keep trash company. Chloe, Liam roared, raising his hand as if to hit me, but stopped abruptly in midair. He looked at my fearless eyes, seemingly intimidated by this unfamiliar aura. I'm allergic to peanuts. Liam, I said, articulating every word, severely allergic. One bite of this, and your wedding tomorrow will turn into a funeral. This is your so-called apology. Liam's expression froze, a trace of panic flashing in his eyes, but it was quickly covered up by anger born of shame. How was I supposed to know there were peanuts in it? Sienna didn't know either. She just wanted to make you happy. Why do you always have to assume the worst of her? Get out. I pointed at the door. Take your lies and your killer cake, and get out. Good, very good. Liam laughed in anger, straightening his suit. Chloe, since you like this shabby single life so much, then stay here and cool off for a few days. When you come to your senses and get down on your knees to beg me, maybe you'll consider letting the wedding continue. He slammed the door and left, and the whole apartment building seemed to shake. Get down on my knees and beg you. Liam, in half a month, you'll realize that the one who really needs to kneel is you. Over the next few days, I completely cut off emotional ties with the outside world, operating like a precision machine. I contacted a lawyer and drafted an agreement regarding asset division, although we aren't married yet. He used a sum from my trust fund in the early days of his startup, which was inheritance left to me by my grandmother, back then, to support him. I didn't even ask him for an IOU. If it were the old Chloe, she would probably be crying about this money going down the drain. But the current me dug up all the transfer records and chat logs from back then. Although California law is complex, for such an obvious financial dispute, recovering it isn't difficult as long as the evidence is solid. Moreover, This money will be the startup capital for my new life after Antarctica. Meanwhile, Liam didn't seem to be affected by my silent treatment. I came across Sienna's post on Instagram. In the photo, she and Liam are at a yacht party. Sienna is wearing a bikini, snuggled in Liam's arms, holding up champagne, and laughing wildly. The caption reads, "Some people don't know how to cherish what they have, so naturally someone else steps in to take their place. I guess this is what's called karma, right?" The comment section underneath was full of compliments from their mutual friends, plus people throwing shade at me for being ungracious, and some were even mocking me for being a bald freak. I took a screenshot expressionlessly and saved it into that folder named Judgment Day. Just when I thought I could wait quietly until boarding day, my phone received a text from Liam. "There's a charity gala at the St. Regis Hotel tonight, and a lot of investors will be there. You must attend. I've already told everyone you just went for an avant-garde look. Don't embarrass me, that's an order." Right after that came a transfer notification, $5,000. Note, buy a decent wig. Don't come out scaring people like a chemo patient. Looking at the words on the screen, I suddenly laughed. Perfect. I was still wondering how to finish the rest of the act. "Since you delivered yourself to my doorstep, don't blame me for pushing this farewell performance to its climax," I replied with one word. Okay. At 7 in the evening, inside the magnificent ballroom of the St. Regis Hotel, it was a scene of fragrant clothes and silhouettes. I was wearing a deep black backless evening gown, wearing neither a wig nor a hat, just like that, sporting an extremely short buzz cut, wearing the boldest bright red lipstick, and stepping in 10-centimeter high heels. I walked in with my head held high. The gaze of the entire room instantly hit me like a spotlight. Whispers surged in like a tide. "Oh my God, is that Chloe? What happened to her hair? Is she really crazy? But, God, she actually looks kinda cool like that." I ignored the gossip and walked straight towards Liam and Sienna, who were chatting and laughing in the center of the crowd. The moment Liam saw me, he almost lost his grip on his wine glass. His eyes were filled with shock, followed immediately by fury. He strode towards me and growled, "Are you crazy? Didn't I tell you to wear a wig? How am I supposed to explain this to the investors?" Sienna followed behind him, wearing a pure white strapless gown, looking like a pristine white lotus. She covered her mouth and exclaimed loudly with feigned surprise, "Oh my God, sister-in-law, are you still mad at me? So you're doing this on purpose to get back at Liam? I know it was my fault for ruining your hair, but I've already gifted you so many hats. Why do you still have to embarrass everyone like this?" That shout of hers successfully made the people around prick up their ears. Embarrassed, I stopped walking, my gaze sweeping over the faces around us waiting for a show, and finally resting on Sienna. "Sienna, since you mentioned hats, I actually brought the one you sent me the day before yesterday." I pulled that crumpled knit hat out of my clutch. It was the one she had couriered to me during her so-called apology party, with a line of text embroidered in sequins. "Bad hair day." In American culture, that's just a bit of banter, but in this context, combined with the cheap material, it was nothing short of a blatant humiliation. "You mean this?" I held the hat up with 2 fingers. "Sienna, your taste is as cheap as ever. This thing isn't even fit to be a floor rag in my house, yet you think it matches an occasion like this. Or is it that in your eyes, Liam's fiancé only deserves this kind of cheap junk?" Sienna's face paled, and the tears came instantly. I just wanted you to stay warm." "Enough." Liam snatched the hat away and tossed it to a waiter. Stepping in front of Sienna, "Chloe, are you just here to cause a scene tonight? If so, get the hell out right now. Don't be in such a hurry." I gave a faint smile, my gaze landing on his left wrist. "I just came to see if the gift I gave you was also re-gifted to someone else." Everyone's eyes followed my gaze. Liam's wrist was completely bare, and on Sienna's slender wrist, she was conspicuously wearing a men's vintage Patek Philippe watch. The dial was slightly worn, traces of the years, but those in the know knew this watch was priceless. More importantly, there's a line engraved on the back of this watch, "To my heartbeat, L." That was 3 years ago. Liam's startup failed, he was hospitalized with a sudden heart attack, and the company's capital chain broke. I sold a Seaview house my parents left me just to fill the hole for him, and bought this watch he'd been dreaming of back from an auction house as a gift for his rebirth. That was my blood, sweat, and tears, my love, everything I owned. Now, it's on the wrist of this woman who ruined my hair, drugged me, and even tried to kill me with peanut butter. That's the life-saving watch Chloe bought for Liam. Right, someone in the crowd muttered. "Why is it on Sienna's wrist?" Liam obviously realized this too. He tugged at Sienna's sleeve uncomfortably, trying to cover that watch. Sienna just thought it looked nice and borrowed it to wear for a couple of days. Chloe, can't you stop being so petty? It's just a watch. Petty. I repeated the word, feeling that the place where my heart is had already gone numb, no longer able to feel pain. Yeah, it's just a watch, just like my hair. It's just follicle tissue, just like my allergies. It's just being dramatic. I took a deep breath and looked at Liam, my gaze so calm it terrified him. Liam, you really don't deserve that watch, because your heartbeat has long been rotten to the core. What did you say? Liam was thoroughly enraged. He stepped forward trying to grab my wrist. You apologize. Apologize to Sienna. Apologize to me. Or else what? I took a step back, dodging his filthy hand, raising my voice a few notches so it clearly reached every corner of the banquet hall. Or else you'll cancel the wedding. That's fine. Liam, you don't need to cancel. I fished a document out of my handbag. It was the lawyer's letter dissolving our engagement that had just been sent to me, along with a copy of the evidence proving his embezzlement of funds. With a smack, I slammed the documents into his phony face. The papers fluttered down like white snowflakes. I'm done playing along with this farce. The whole room fell into a dead silence. Liam scrambled to grab a few sheets of paper, and after seeing the contents clearly, his face instantly turned deathly pale. You checked my accounts. Chloe, you scheming woman. Scheming, I sneered, compared to the things you pair of cheating scumbags did. This is called self-defense. Sienna, I turned to look at the woman who was trying to shrink herself into the shadows. Enjoy that watch on your wrist. After all, that's the last valuable thing you'll be able to squeeze out of him. In a few days, you won't even be able to afford the legal fees. Having said that, I didn't look at anyone else. I turned and walked toward the main entrance. My high heels tapped against the marble floor, making a crisp sound each step feeling like the beating of a war drum. Liam's exasperated roar came from behind me. Stop her. Security, don't let her go. A few security guards hesitated as they started to close in. Just then, a cold voice came from the back of the crowd. I'd like to see who dares to touch her. The crowd parted automatically. Several lawyers in dark suits who looked like they weren't to be trifled with strode over. The one in the lead was San Francisco's ace lawyer known for his ruthlessness, and also an old friend of my late father, Mr. Liam. The old lawyer stood in front of me and pushed up his gold-rimmed glasses. My client has already applied for a restraining order from the court. If you or this female friend of yours dare to come within 10 feet of her again, or harass her by any means, we will sue you immediately. As for this watch, he cast a cold glance at the watch on Sienna's wrist. This was illegally transferred as part of the trust assets. Miss Sienna, you can choose to take it off now, or wait for the police to go to your home and search for stolen goods. Sienna let out a scared scream, frantically unbuckled the watch, and tossed it to the lawyer like it was a hot potato. I didn't look back. I knew this was just the first round. The moment I stepped out of the hotel, I looked up at San Francisco's dazzling night sky. The Southern Cross is waiting for me in the Southern Hemisphere, but before that, I'm going to make these two filthy stars fall completely. 10 days left. My revenge has only just begun. That farce at the St. Regis Hotel became the biggest talking point in the San Francisco social circle this week, although I slapped them with a lawyer's letter and a restraining order on the spot. Thanks to Liam and Sienna's PR maneuvering, the rumors didn't completely swing in my favor. Liam is a new upstart in the VC circle after all, controlling the narrative of several tech media outlets. Soon, a few anonymous leak accounts started steering public opinion on Twitter and major forums. Chloe Meltdown heard it was paranoia caused by prenatal depression. Poor thing. But that's just too crazy. That bald look. Supposedly she shaved it on purpose for attention, just to go join some radical feminist group. Women these days really will do anything to get famous. Heard she wasn't quite right in the head before. Liam stuck by her side the whole time. Didn't expect her to turn around and bite him. There were even insiders revealing that the reason I cancelled the wedding was because I cheated with my university advisor, who is the very professor that recommended me to go to Antarctica this time. Looking at the malicious speculation and spliced together footage of the scene on the screen, I sat in the empty apartment, and not only was I not angry, I actually found it a bit laughable. This is Liam's tactic. When you can't solve the problem, just solve the person who raised it. An upgraded version of gaslighting, not only making you doubt your own sanity, but also making the whole world think you're a lunatic. Looks like he's really afraid of that financial evidence being exposed. I took a sip of black coffee, my fingers typing rapidly on the keyboard. Since you want to play a public opinion war, I'll play along with you until the end. I wasn't idle during these 10 days. I meticulously categorized and edited the footage in that Judgment Day folder. It wasn't just that heads having video. but also countless moments captured by the home surveillance cameras over the past 2 years. Sienna pouring dish soap into my skincare products while I wasn't looking. Liam mocking me to a friend on the phone for being a boring nerd, saying only a little wildcat like Sienna has enough flavor. And that time, Sienna deliberately threw my research manuscripts away as waste paper, while Liam just said indifferently, "It was useless anyway. If it's thrown out, just let it be. Every fragment is a sharp dagger." But I didn't rush to publish it. I was waiting for the right moment, a moment that would let them climb the highest, and then fall the hardest. 3 days left until boarding. A few of my college buddies, diehard friends in the academic circle who truly know the real me, insisted on throwing me a farewell to singlehood party, or rather, a celebration of singlehood party. The location chosen was a low-key but very stylish jazz bar in the Mission District. No flashy champagne towers or male strippers, just the few of us, a few old fashions, and some long-lost relaxed banter. To Antarctica, to penguins, to this damn freedom. My good friend Jess raised her glass. She's a lecturer at Berkeley Law and also the person who helped me contact that old lawyer at the hotel that day. To Chloe's new life. Another friend, Mike, chimed in, "Seriously, that bald look of yours is just too cool. If you weren't going off to do research, I'd want to sign you as a model." I smiled and clinked glasses, feeling for the first time that the gloom weighing on my heart was dissipating bit by bit. However, just like the prelude to the climax of every cheesy American drama, trouble always came uninvited. The bar door was pushed open, and a burst of noise shattered the tranquility of the jazz. Liam swaggered in with a few bodyguards and that lingering ghost, Sienna. Obviously, he was stalking me, even with a restraining order. Guys like him always think the law is meant to restrain the poor. "I knew you'd be here." Liam walked straight up to our booth, his sinister gaze sweeping over everyone at the table, finally fixing on me. "Celebrating victory with your lovers, huh?" He deliberately put the stress on Mike, his eyes filled with suggestive contempt. The guests in the bar all looked over. Jess immediately stood up and stood in front of me. "Mr. Liam, please watch your language. Also, you violated the restraining order. I can call the police right now." "Call the police," Liam sneered, pulling a stack of photos from his pocket and slamming them on the table. "The police are here just in time. Let them see how this slut cheated on me." The photos scattered all over the floor. They showed scenes of Mike and me working side by side in the university lab, as well as candid shots of me picking up a package from a courier downstairs at my apartment that day. The angle was so tricky it looked like we were kissing, and there were even photos of me shaking hands with my advisor. They were all normal social interactions, but through the lens of someone with ulterior motives, they became ambiguous and suggestive. "See that?" Liam pointed at the photos and shouted at the onlookers surrounding us. "This is the truth about why she cancelled the wedding. She's been hooking up with these men behind my back for ages. I've swallowed my pride for so long, only to have her turn around and accuse me while auditing the accounts. There's no justice left in this world." Sienna hid behind him, letting out a few sobs at just the right moment. "Brother Liam, forget it. Maybe sister-in-law just had a momentary lapse in judgment. Let's go. Let's not make a spectacle of ourselves." She really played this retreat in order to advance card to perfection. People around us had already started pointing fingers, and the eyes that originally supported me began to waver. I remained seated on the sofa, swirling the whiskey in my glass, watching this clumsy performance. "Are you done acting?" I said coolly. "You still dare to make excuses?" Liam glared at me. I set down my glass and slowly stood up, even wearing flats. My presence wasn't the least bit weaker than his. "Liam, have you forgotten where we are?" I looked around at the people surrounding us. "This is the Mission District, not your Silicon Valley office. Half the people sitting here are Berkeley professors, and the other half are engineers at tech companies. Who do you think you can fool with such amateur Photoshop skills and photos taken out of context?" I bent down to pick up a photo of Mike and me in the lab and held it up in front of Liam. This photo was taken 3 years ago when we were working on a deep-sea sample analysis project, and in the bottom right corner, the timestamp is clearly visible. At that time, you were in Las Vegas celebrating Sienna's birthday, and you went MIA for 3 whole days. Do you need me to remind you? Liam's expression shifted. "You're lying." "And this one?" I picked up that so-called courier kissing photo. "This is a UPS delivery guy named David. He's 50 and has 2 kids. That day, he was just helping me carry a box of books upstairs, hiring a private investigator to take sneak shots from angles like this. Aren't you getting a little too desperate?" A few snickers came from the surrounding crowd. Jess added coldly from the side. "According to California Penal Code Section 646.9, stalking is a felony. Plus, You blatantly defamed my client and caused a disturbance in public. Mr. Liam, your words and actions tonight have all been recorded by the surveillance cameras in this bar. Mike, please give the San Francisco Police Department a call. Just say someone is causing trouble here. Don't you dare. Liam completely panicked. He didn't expect us nerds to actually be this tough. He had originally thought that as long as he humiliated me in public, I would just suffer in silence like before. Why wouldn't I? I advanced on him step by step, my eyes icy. Liam, do you really think I'm still that stupid woman who only knows how to revolve around you? Do you really think those dirty tricks of yours can cover up the truth forever? I turned my head to look at Sienna, who had been hiding behind him. And you, Sienna, stop pretending. Your tears have already depreciated to a negative value with me. By the way, let me tell you some good news. That bad hair day hat you gave me, I've already sent it for DNA testing. The skin flakes left on it, plus the fingerprints on the scissors from the haircut earlier, are enough to prove you committed the assault. My lawyer is already drafting the charges. Battery, plus intentional destruction of property. Guess how long you'll get. Sienna's face instantly turned deathly pale. She clutched Liam's arm tightly, her lips trembling, unable to say a word. Lunatic. You lunatic. Liam pointed at me. Even his fingers were trembling. You'll regret this. I'll make sure you can't survive in this city. I'll block all your paths. Blacklist me. I chuckled softly. Too bad. Liam, where I'm going, your hands can't reach. Even if you were God, in Antarctica you'd still freeze into an ice sculpture. Just then, the sound of police sirens came from the distance. Liam obviously didn't want to end up in the station, especially since if this kind of scandal was exposed, it would have a huge impact on his company. He glared at me viciously, dragging the weak-kneed Sienna along as he turned to leave. Wait, I called out to him. Liam stopped and looked back at me. Remember this moment. Liam, I raised my glass, making a mock toast to his retreating back. This is the last time you'll see me. Enjoy your time in hell. Liam gritted his teeth and fled the bar with his people in disgrace. A burst of cheers erupted in the bar. Jess gave me a big hug. That was so cool. Chloe, you're totally my idol. I smiled back, but inside I was unusually calm. This is just the appetizer. The real main course won't be served until the very moment I leave. The next 3 days were incredibly busy and fulfilling. I ended the lease on my apartment and donated everything I couldn't take with me to charity. My luggage was pared down to 2 large suitcases, containing heavy winter gear, a few professional books, and all my expectations for the future. Meanwhile, on the internet, Liam didn't stop his attacks on me. Those paid trolls were still frantically slinging mud, and someone even doxed my parents' address. Although they passed away long ago, this still crossed the line for me. The night before embarkation day, I sat in a hotel room near the airport, watching the planes taking off and landing outside the window. My flight was at 4 a.m. tomorrow, flying to Christchurch, New Zealand, and then transferring to a military transport plane to head to McMurdo Station. Once I step onto that plane, it'll completely cut off immediate contact with this world. It's time. I opened my computer and logged into that TikTok account I registered a long time ago but never posted on. The account name was the Ice Queen. I took a deep breath and clicked upload. The first video, that terrifying night of the head shaving. No editing, no music, just the original sound and visuals. Sienna's malice, Liam's coldness, and my helplessness while unconscious were laid bare for the world to see. Second video, a compilation captured by the home surveillance of Sienna pouring stuff into my skincare products and throwing away my manuscripts. Third audio clip, Sienna bragging to her bestie on a call. That stupid woman still doesn't know I messed with the peanut butter. If she dies, Liam will be all mine. Finally, a long image. It lists all the transfer records of Liam embezzling from my trust fund over the years, as well as several key pieces of evidence regarding his company's tax evasion and unexpected bonus I stumbled upon while sorting out my finances. The caption was just a short line of text. Some accidents are premeditated crimes. Some deep love is a wolf in human skin. Goodbye, San Francisco. The truth might be late, but justice is never absent. Click publish. I watched the progress bar inch along to the end, finally displaying upload successful. I closed my laptop, pulled out the SIM card, threw it in the toilet, and flushed it away. At that moment, I felt as light as a feather. I picked up my suitcase and walked out of the hotel room. The early morning wind was a bit chilly, but I didn't feel cold anymore. A few hours later, when the sun rises over San Francisco, and when Liam and Sienna wake from their sleep, waiting for them will be a tsunami capable of destroying everything. And I, 10,000 meters up in the sky, We'll fly toward that pure white continent free of lies. Goodbye, scumbag. Goodbye, green tea bitch. This is just the beginning. At the moment the plane soared into the clouds, I took one last look at San Francisco through the window. The Bay Area that once trapped me seemed so tiny now in the morning mist. My heartbeat was steady and strong, as if I'd finally found my own rhythm again. Meanwhile, the world above ground was experiencing a massive earthquake. Just as I predicted, TikTok's algorithm pushed those videos to trending within a few hours. Hashtags like Sienna the barber, Liam exposed, and Justice for Chloe quickly dominated Twitter's trending list. That unedited heads-having video, that suffocating sense of reality, instantly ignited the fury of the entire internet. I watched that video, and my hands are shaking. This isn't a prank at all. This is deliberate harm. That woman named Sienna, her eyes were full of malice. It's terrifying. Liam was just sitting right there playing on his phone. That's his fiancée. How could he be so indifferent? This kind of man really deserves to go to hell. God, is that peanut butter recording real? This is attempted murder, isn't it? Won't the FBI do something? And those transfer records. Embezzling his fiancée's life-saving money to keep a mistress. Is he even human? The paid trolls Liam originally hired tried to fight back, but in the face of ironclad evidence and surging public opinion, they were instantly drowned out. The comments that previously attacked me as crazy or cheating all became boomerangs at this moment, stabbing hard into Liam and Sienna, far away in the southern hemisphere. Although I hadn't seen these yet, I could imagine the scene. Over 10 hours later, I was transferring flights in Christchurch, New Zealand. During the gap while waiting for the military transport plane, I connected to the airport Wi-Fi and casually glanced at the news. In just one day, the extent to which things had blown up exceeded my imagination. Sienna's social media accounts have already been completely trashed, and all the brands she endorses, though they're just some no-name little brands, issued statements overnight to terminate their contracts. Even the hair salon she frequently visits posted saying they'd blacklisted her. And Liam had it even worse. As a rising star in the VC circle, his reputation was his life. As soon as the evidence of tax evasion and embezzlement came out, several big companies that originally planned to work with him immediately announced they were suspending contact. What was even more deadly was that the IRS and the SEC had announced they were stepping in to investigate. I even saw a paparazzi photo, Sienna wearing sunglasses and a mask, mobbed by a group of reporters at the apartment entrance, looking totally wretched, and Liam was roaring at the lens, trying to snatch a reporter's camera. Nice job, I whispered to myself, turning off my phone. I boarded the C-17 transport plane bound for McMurdo Station. Amidst the massive roar, I completely said goodbye to the clamor of modern society. Antarctica, this is the end of the earth, and also a new beginning. When the hatch opened and that bone-chilling wind hit my face, I felt a rush of excitement I hadn't felt in ages. The boundless white ice fields, the sky so azure it was nearly transparent, the rolling Mount Erebus in the distance. Everything here seemed so pure, so magnificent. Here, there are no green tea bitches, no scumbags, only survival and science. I quickly threw myself into work. As a marine biologist, my job was to monitor the health of the seal population in the Ross Sea and collect samples of plankton from under the ice. Every day, I had to wear heavy cold weather gear, drive a snowmobile across the ice fields, or dive into the bone-chilling seawater. It was exhausting, but fulfilling. Here, no one cared if I was going bald, and no one cared if I was wearing a Harry Winston diamond ring. People only cared about whether you had labeled the samples correctly and whether you made it back to base safely before the blizzard hit. I got along great with the rest of the team. That New Zealand mechanic named Alex could always fix my snowmobile like magic whenever it broke down, and that meteorologist from Norway, Ingrid, would teach me how to make special cocktails with vodka before the polar night set in. The days went by just like that, until one day, 3 months later, when the supply ship brought long-awaited mail and packages. Jess sent me a huge bag of my favorite Cheetos and beef jerky, along with a long letter. Chloe, you'll never guess what happened these past few months. It's even better than a Hollywood blockbuster. The letter detailed the fate of Liam and Sienna. After I left, the storm of public opinion didn't die down. Instead, it escalated because of police intervention. Sienna has been formally placed under investigation by the police on suspicion of assault and attempted murder. Although her family spent a fortune hiring a lawyer to bail her out, she has become a pariah throughout San Francisco. Every time she goes out, people point and stare, and once she even had red wine splashed on her while dining at a restaurant. Suffering a mental breakdown, Sienna started binge drinking and doing drugs. One rainy night a month ago, She hit a pedestrian while driving drunk and fled the scene. This time, no lawyer, no matter how good, could save her. The surveillance footage was crystal clear, and coupled with her sordid history, the judge denied bail outright. Now, she's sitting in a women's prison awaiting trial, facing a sentence of at least 5 years. As for Liam, that once high-and-mighty venture capitalist, he's now bankrupt. The IRS confirmed his tax evasion crimes, slapping him with fines amounting to millions of dollars. With major investors pulling out and lawsuits piling up, his company folded immediately, and the mansions and sports cars under his name were all seized and auctioned off. What's even more ironic is that after losing everything, his old ailment, the heart disease that once nearly took his life, has relapsed. Because he has no money to pay for expensive private health insurance, he can only wait in line for surgery at a public hospital. I heard the situation is dire. The doctors have even issued a critical condition notice. By the way, Jess wrote at the end of the letter, Liam got someone to contact me the other day, wanting me to tell you that he knows he was wrong. He said he wants to see you one last time, wants to apologize to you. He said he regrets every day now not cherishing you back then. He asked if you could give him a call. Reading this, I sat in the warm lounge, holding hot cocoa in my hands, and couldn't help laughing out loud. Regret. Apologize. No, Liam, that's not regret, that's fear. It's the fear of death, the fear of having nothing. You want to see me just to clutch at the last straw, or to use your miserable state to win my sympathy, so you can gain a shred of spiritual comfort. But why should I give you this chance? I put down the letter paper and looked out at the raging blizzard outside the window. Alex, I turned to ask the mechanic next to me who was repairing instruments, if an old junk car of yours, after you threw it into the scrapyard, suddenly texted you saying it wants you to drive it back, what would you do? Alex froze for a moment, then laughed loudly. I'd throw my phone into the sea, then take my new snowmobile out for a spin. After all, who misses a pile of scrap metal? You're right. I didn't call Liam back, nor did I even write back to Jess to ask him to pass on any words. For this kind of person, the greatest punishment isn't insults, isn't revenge, but complete oblivion. The chapter of him in my life has long been turned over. 2 years later, when my term at McMurdo Station ended and I boarded the return icebreaker, my hair had grown to my shoulders. It wasn't the silky long hair I used to keep to please others anymore, but curls that were a bit faded by the polar sun, messy from the sea breeze, yet full of life. The day I returned to San Francisco, the sun was shining bright. Jess came to pick me up at the airport. She looked at me, her eyes a bit red. Oh my God, Chloe, you look so different. Really, I smiled and hugged her. Maybe it's because I learned how to argue with penguins in Antarctica. On the way back to the city, when I passed the luxury community that once belonged to Liam and me, I specifically took a look. That house has changed owners, and the garden originally filled with white roses has been turned into a children's playground, filled with laughter and joy. Liam's dead, Jess suddenly whispered. Just the week before you came back, he struggled in the hospital for a long time, and finally went because of complications. I heard there wasn't a single person by his side when he went. Sienna was still serving time in prison, and those so-called friends of his had long since run off. I nodded, feeling completely unfazed, just like hearing the weather forecast say it's going to rain today. That's good, I said flatly. At least he kept his vow. What vow? He used to swear to me that if he ever let me down, he'd go straight to hell, never to rise again. I looked at the scenery retreating outside the window. Seems like God actually keeps his word sometimes. Later on, I didn't stay in San Francisco. I accepted an invitation from a famous marine research institute in San Diego to continue my deep-sea research. I also met someone new, but he wasn't some venture capital upstart, nor some elite I had to look up to. He was just an ordinary diving instructor with a smile like sunshine and a body of solid muscle. He doesn't know what Harry Winston is, nor does he know how to appreciate red wine, but he hands me a dry towel the moment I get out of the water, silently cooks me a bowl of hot soup when I'm cranky about bad experimental data, and looks me in the eye to say earnestly, Chloe, you look really sexy with short hair. One time, we talked about the past. Do you hate him? He asked me. I thought about it and shook my head. No. I took a sip of the beer in my hand. Hate consumes too much energy, and my energy, I want to save it for more worthy things like the ocean, like the stars, like you. That night, we walked by the seaside. The sea breeze blew past, and my hair danced in the wind. I touched my hair. It was free, resilient, and every single strand belonged to me. That is enough.